Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings for Monday, February the 27th. Now, for today, we have a really small slate for Monday, only 4 games. Usually we have, like 6, 7, 8 games on Mondays, but just a 4-game slate tonight. As always, guys, though, we're still going to go game by game. We're going to talk through each one of these 4 games, give you a quick game-by-game breakdown, what I do like, taking a first look at this slate on Sunday night. Before we do get started with the breakdown, though, if you guys enjoy these DFS videos and if they do help you out, as always, I appreciate it. If you would, hit that like button down below. Appreciate the likes. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And if you guys are new to the channel and if you have never checked out PrizePicks before, PrizePicks is the sponsor of this video. You guys can sign up for PrizePicks. Use my promo code NOAH. PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. And if you've never heard about PrizePicks, you don't know what they are. They're a player prop site, a little bit different than DraftKings and FanDuel. You're not building out a lineup. You don't enter contests or compete against other players. You're just building out an entry and you're competing against PrizePicks projections. So they have projections posted. As you can see, I'm recording this video on Sunday, so they still have props up for Sunday's games. But you take a look at the board on Monday, you'll see props from Monday's games. They have fantasy scores, so it's FanDuel's fantasy scoring system. They have traditional props though, like points, rebounds, assists. You just take more or less. You have to make at least 2 picks. You can make up to 6 picks. You can win up to 25x your money on PrizePicks. And on PrizePicks, you can mix and match sports. PrizePicks does offer a ton of other sports outside of just NBA and NFL stuff like that. They have XFL, tennis, esports. They have a ton of stuff. So give them a try, guys. Use that promo code NOAH when you sign up, and you will get your first deposit matched up to $100. But let's go ahead and talk through Monday's little 4-game slate. We'll start off with the first game of the night, the Pistons and the Hornets. So I would say of the 4 games today, this is probably one of the more appealing games on the slate just because these are 2 teams that don't really play much defense. Charlotte plays at a really fast pace. We'll start off on the Charlotte side. So for Charlotte today, really the only news worth talking about is P.J. Washington, who is doubtful once again for this game. We did see J.T. Thor start last game in place of P.J. Washington, so I'm assuming J.T. Thor is going to start again. Now, J.T. Thor did not do that well. He played 26 minutes and only had 4 DraftKings points. But obviously that was a tough matchup against Miami. This is obviously a much better matchup against Detroit. Still wouldn't be excited to roster J.T. Thor. He's not really the best per minute producer, but he has minimum salary. I feel like there's going to be other value worth targeting today, but J.T. Thor is going to be playable if you want to go there. LaMelo, though, we'll start off with him. Obviously, in this spot against Detroit, LaMelo looks like a really good pay-up option. He was pretty expensive on, I think it was Friday when they played Minnesota. He had 63 DK points, still paid off that 11K price tag. Matchup was a little bit tougher on Saturday against Miami. Just had 47 DK points, but man, this spot against Detroit is so good. Detroit's defense is terrible. They've been a really good matchup for point guards. We've seen LaMelo just stuff the stat sheet lately. He's he's pretty much providing triple-double upside every night. He's been rebounding a ton. His assist numbers have been great. And on this slate, only 4 games. There's other pay-up options you could go to. You have Jason Tatum on this slate. You have Joel Embiid. You have James Harden. But I think LaMelo looks like a really, really good pay-up option. I like him a ton. Terry Rozier at 6,800 I think is fine too. I mean, the matchup's great against Detroit. Rozier should play big minutes here if the game's close. Probably wouldn't play him and LaMelo together, but I think one of the two is definitely fine if you want to go there. Kelly Oubre has been coming off the bench, been playing pretty limited minutes, so I don't really have much interest in him. He's still going to probably play like 24, 25 minutes. I don't really see going to him at 6,300. Gordon Hayward at 6K is a fine mid-range option. I think at 6K he is priced correctly now. But we have seen more of a ceiling from Gordon Hayward lately. He went through a stretch this season where he just wasn't really playing that well, wasn't really showing much upside. He's had some big games with 49 DK points against Atlanta, 58 against Minnesota. I feel like more times than not, Gordon Hayward's going to score like 30, 35 DK points. But if you can randomly get those big games from him without P.J. Washington, I think there's maybe a little bit more upside for Gordon Hayward. Minutes should be there. He's definitely in play at 6K. Mark Williams, I like quite a bit. He's probably my second favorite play on Charlotte behind LaMelo. He's only 5,900. We've seen Mark Williams be a pretty good per-minute producer, and ever since he's taken over as the starting center, his production's been pretty solid. He's obviously had some matchups, against Minnesota. He got in foul trouble. That was also kind of a tough spot against Rudy Gobert. Against Denver, got in foul trouble against Jokic. Well, he had a really good game against Miami, even in a tough matchup last game. This is obviously a really good matchup against the Pistons. Definitely like this spot for Mark Williams. I think he looks really appealing at 5,900, and that's probably it for the Hornets. I don't really see anything else worth targeting on this team. So let's talk about the Detroit side now. So for Detroit today, some injuries to keep an eye on here. So Jalen Duren has already been ruled out for this game. Bojan Bogdanovic is questionable, so that'll be something worth keeping an eye on. And then Isaiah Stewart is also questionable. So with no Jalen Duren, we should see James Wiseman start at center once again. James Wiseman did start at center last game. Wiseman didn't play a ton of minutes, only played 20 minutes, but he did foul out in 20 minutes. James Wiseman has shown when he gets minutes, he can be a productive per-minute producer, and obviously this is a matchup that we love to target. Bigs have done really well against Charlotte this season. So I think James Wiseman at 3,700, power forward and center eligible, so that's really appealing. He's going to stand out as a really good value today. I like him quite a bit. He would look even better if a guy like Isaiah Stewart got ruled out. Minutes would become even more secure. If Isaiah Stewart does get ruled out, I think that benefits Marvin Bagley quite a bit. We saw Marvin Bagley play 28 minutes off the bench last game, was really productive. That was his first game back from injury. I was kind of surprised to see him play that much, but he really was good in the minutes he played. Obviously, great matchup for him as well. You would think he probably sees more minutes here if there's no Stewart. If Stewart plays, does Bagley play 28 minutes again? Probably not. It is worth mentioning that Stewart did get injured last game, and I think that's probably one of the reasons that Bagley played so much. So I would be a little bit hesitant on Bagley if Stewart is in, but if Stewart is out, I think Bagley's a really good value. And then Bojan, this is pretty important. If Bojan doesn't play, that's going to benefit guys like Jaden Ivey, Killian Hayes. Those are going to be the guys that probably soak up a lot of the usage without Bojan. So far this season, Bojan's kind of been like the lead usage guy, taking a lot of the shots. Well, that would mean more shot attempts for Jaden Ivey, more shot attempts for Killian Hayes. Both those guys will look really appealing. They're both very cheap. They would look appealing in a really good matchup here. I don't know who would start in place of Bojan. It probably would be I don't even know, Isaiah. I know Isaiah Livers has started some of the games. Bojan's been out, I think. So maybe Isaiah Livers would start. Maybe Hamidou Diallo would start. Hamidou Diallo is a guy that has shown when he does get minutes, he can be productive. So I would kind of be interested in Diallo if there's no Bojan. But I think that kind of covers Detroit. We kind of talked about most of the guys here, kind of the if-thens. It's definitely a wait and see with this one, just because there is kind of some question marks to keep an eye on. But luckily, this is one of the first games of the night, so we'll have all this news before lock, and then we can adjust if need be. But I have a feeling there's going to be guys worth targeting on both sides of this game. Let's move on to the next one, though, Miami and Philadelphia. So not as appealing of a game, at least in terms of a DFS perspective, just because these are two teams that play good defense. These are two teams that play at a really slow pace. We'll start off on the Philadelphia side. So I think if you're looking to Philly here, Joel Embiid's the guy that's going to stand out the most. Will mention this matchup against Miami is pretty tough. Miami's been one of the best defensive teams overall. They've been a really tough matchup for centers. I think they've been the worst. It's been the worst matchup for centers this season is facing Miami. Now, Joel Embiid is a matchup-proof player, and we've seen him crush even in bad matchups. So I still don't have an issue going to Embiid, but I think I do prefer probably going to LaMelo for cheaper. Jason Tatum we'll talk about. I like quite a bit with Jaylen Brown out. So Embiid firmly in play, but more of a tournament option. Harden at 9,800, I'll probably pass on. If I was going to play one of the two Philly guys, I'd rather go to Embiid. And then you have Tobias Harris at 5,300, Tyrese Maxey at 5,200. Neither one of these guys have shown some, they've not been very consistent with Embiid and Harden in the lineup, but you're getting big minutes from Tobias Harris. He's played 35, 34, and 38 minutes their last two games. The minutes alone at 5,300 definitely put him in play on a short slate like this. And then Tyrese Maxey is going to come off the bench, probably play about 25, 30 minutes. I think he's a playable GPP option as well. I'm not really into anyone else on Philadelphia, though. That's pretty much it. Philly's been a tough team to, really prioritize this season. The only guys who are really playing on Philly are Harden and Embiid. There's just nobody else that really ever looks that appealing. Harris and Maxey are always playable, I guess, but, you're not really playing anyone else on this team. So that'll do it for the Philadelphia side. Now, for Miami, there's some big injury news to keep an eye on here. So Tyler Hero and Kyle Lowry are both questionable for this game, and Kevin Love's probable. So Hero and Lowry both being questionable is obviously big. If there's no Hero and there's no Lowry, we can expect a much bigger role for Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. Those will be the two guys that really lead the offense, soak up a lot of the usage. But there would definitely be more minutes available for guys like Gabe Vincent and Victor Oladipo as well. If there is no Hero and Lowry, then I think we can look to Vincent and Oladipo for value. I assume Vincent would start, so I think at 4,800 he'd be a pretty good value. Oladipo would probably play a good amount off the bench. I think he would be in play as well. Those would be the two kind of value guys worth targeting. And then obviously Butler, Bam would be in play too. I do want to talk about Kevin Love because Kevin Love, since he got since he got signed by Miami, he's been playing good minutes. I mean, he played 22 minutes in his debut. He did start that game. He played 26 minutes last game, also started that game. I'm assuming that Kevin Love's just going to continue to start for Miami until we see otherwise. So if Kevin Love is starting, He's pretty appealing. We know Kevin Love's a good permanent producer. He's a guy that can score, can rebound. He's shown like throughout his career when he gets minutes, he can put up good games. So if Miami's going to continue to start Kevin Love and play him 25, 30 minutes a night, he still looks a little bit too cheap at 5,400. Now, obviously, he's not as cheap as he has been. That day against Milwaukee, he was stone minimum. Last slate, he was 3,800. He's not that cheap anymore, but at 5,400, I think Kevin Love is still in play today. I'm assuming that he is still starting. I do have some interest in him. And then, talking about Hero and Lowry, like if they both play, I really don't like much from Miami at all. Like I think Butler and Bam would look less appealing. Hero at his price tag, I'm not that interested in if he plays. Same with Lowry. Lowry is really cheap, but he's also been injured a lot this season. He's not been the best permanent producer. I assume they're probably going to have him on a minutes limit, even if he does play today. So I don't really think he's going to be viable. So that'll probably do it for Miami. I think we kind of talked about really most of the appealing options here. Guys like Max Strus, Caleb Martin, probably only considering them if Hero and Lowry are both out. Probably not going to consider them if they wind up playing. So let's move on to the next game, Boston and New York. We'll start off on the Knicks side. So for the Knicks today, there's nothing injury news to talk about here. Mitchell Robinson's back, so he's healthy again. Really nobody's injured right now, so the Knicks are pretty much fully healthy. Obviously, this matchup against Boston is not the best. This is not really a spot we like to target, but we do know that in a competitive game, you're going to get like 38, 40 minutes from Julius Randle, from Jalen Brunson. I know these teams did play pretty recently, and I want to say that maybe it was Randle or Brunson had a really big game. Randle put up, 52 DK points in 37 minutes against Boston. I think Brunson might have been pretty solid in that game too. He had 49 DK points in 40 minutes. So these guys can produce even in bad matchups. Now, I don't think either one of Randle or Brunson are priority plays for me, but I think they're still playable options in tournaments. I would just rather go to like LaMelo. We're going to talk about Tatum as well. Those are guys I'd rather pay up for if I'm going to spend my salary. But I'm fine with Randle and Brunson. Barrett at 5,800, I'm not that interested in. Barrett has kind of been all over the place lately. He had a really big game last game against the Pelicans, but prior to that, production was not great. The price tag has come down a little bit, so I think Barrett is at least playable, but I'm not like super interested in him. Josh Hart's going to come off the bench, probably play like mid to high 20s minutes. He feels priced about right at 5,300, but I think he's a playable option. And then Mitchell Robinson, since he's returned from injury, has played in 2 games, and he's played 28 minutes in both those games. Matchup against the Celtics, I don't really like. Matchup with Robert Williams is not the best. The Celtics' interior defense has really improved since Robert Williams' return. But Mitchell Robinson is a really good permanent producer. He's played good minutes in the 2 games he's played since coming back from injury. So I think at 5,200, if we expect around 30 minutes from Mitchell Robinson, that definitely puts him in play on a short slate like this. So looking to the Knicks guys, I think when you factor in price tag, my favorite plays here are probably Mitchell Robinson and Julius Randle, then Brunson, then Barrett. Don't think I'm considering anyone else on the Knicks. So let's talk about the other side now with the Celtics. For the Celtics today, they're going to be without Jaylen Brown, who's already been ruled out for this game. Derek White is probable, so he is expected to play. But without Jaylen Brown, that kind of benefits really everyone, but we expect, obviously, Jason Tatum to be the biggest beneficiary. Tatum's only 10,200. His price tag has come down a little bit. He was priced up in the 11Ks. Obviously, when he was priced up that high, he was playing a lot of those games without Jaylen Brown, so that's why his price tag got up there. Well, now that Jaylen Brown is out again, we're getting Tatum a little bit underpriced. So really like Jason Tatum today. Again, I think him and LaMelo look like 2 of the best pay-up options. I think Tatum's a very strong play here. And then the rest of the Celtics, guys like Malcolm Brogdon, Marcus Smart, Derek White, I think they all benefit without Brown here. Now, Derek White we saw play really, really well in the games that Jaylen Brown missed. Worth noting that, Marcus Smart was out for a lot of those games too. Obviously, Derek White has kind of taken a hit since Jaylen Brown has come back, but now that Jaylen Brown is out again, I'm guessing Derek White moves back into the starting lineup, and at 5,500, he's going to look like a pretty good play today. His price tag has come down, obviously, since Brown returned. And then I think Marcus Smart at 5,500 looks pretty appealing too. He's played 2 games or 3 games since coming back from injury. Minutes, against Philly were down a little bit. Against Detroit, only played 29 minutes, but we saw him play 35 minutes against Indiana. I think that game might have went to overtime. So might probably played increased minutes because of that. But clearly, I think we can expect close to full minutes from Marcus Smart here. He definitely gets a boost without Brown. So I do like Marcus Smart quite a bit as well. And I don't mind Malcolm Brogdon either. Brogdon's going to come off the bench, but he's still going to have a big role without Jaylen Brown. He's more of a GPP play, I think, whereas like Smart and White, you're probably considering for cash. But for tournaments, Brogdon's ownership is probably going to be lower compared to those guys just because he's coming off the bench. So I don't mind Brogdon in GPPs. don't know if I'm going to go to any other Celtics. Robert Williams, I don't mind, but he's just a tough guy to predict. Like some nights he'll play 30 minutes and some nights he'll play like 20. It's always tough to tell how many minutes you're going to get from Robert Williams, but he is a good per-minute producer. I think minutes maybe become a little bit more secure without Jaylen Brown. I don't know if that really impacts his role too much, but if we do get like 30 minutes from Robert Williams, kind of similar to Mitchell Robinson, these are two guys that when they do get minutes, they can produce, and Williams' price tag has definitely come down quite a bit, so I do like him at 5,100. That's really it, though, for the Celtics. I don't see anything else worth targeting here, so let's go ahead and talk about the last game of the night, the Pelicans and the Magic. So for the Pelicans, really only news to talk about here is no Zion, who's still out, obviously. Without Zion, we kind of know who benefits. It's Brandon Ingram, it's CJ McCollum. Brandon Ingram has kind of been the guy taking on a lot of the usage lately. He's been the guy soaking up, a lot of the shots. He's been taking 20-plus shots a game. Price tag has come down to $8K, so I think at $8K in a good matchup against the Magic, I'm definitely interested in Brandon Ingram today. I don't know what's going on with CJ McCollum. Like, I don't know if he just sucks now, but he's been so inconsistent lately. He did have a good game against the Lakers, but he's had a lot of poor games lately. Usage has still been solid. Like, he's still been taking a good amount of shots. He just hasn't been really racking up a ton of assists. The rebounds have kind of been low. Have the feeling that at some point CJ McCollum's going to have a big game again. So I'm definitely interested in CJ McCollum. I probably would prefer Ingram straight up, but I think McCollum is playable. J-Val is a true wild card. You never really know what you're going to get from J-Val. He got 32 minutes last game, but we've seen a lot of games this season. He just plays like 24, 25 minutes. If we're going to get 30-plus minutes from J-Val, I'd have a lot of interest in him. I don't know if that happens. I think we need the big news here is to keep an eye on the status of Larry Nance. Okay, so Larry Nance is out, so that definitely makes me like J-Val more. I totally missed that Larry Nance was out. So with Larry Nance out, I think that definitely makes J-Val appealing. The reason I think J-Val played so much last game was because there was no Larry Nance. He played 32 minutes, had 28 DK points. I think we can expect 30-plus minutes from Valanciunas here, and he's always been a good per-minute producer. So, yeah, I think really all those Pelicans look interesting. McCollum, Ingram, Valanciunas. I'm interested in all those guys. Not really interested in anyone else on the Pelicans. I know Josh Richardson has been starting lately. He's been okay as a starter. His price tag's come up to $5,400, but I still think he's playable. Just not a guy that I'm like, not a guy I'm running to roster, but he's still playable. Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, the rest of these guys I'm going to pass on. So let's talk about the other side of this game now with the Pelicans with the Magic. And for the Magic today, I think the only injury news to talk about is Jonathan Isaac, but like he's not really been playing that much anyway, so I don't really think him being out matters too much. So for the Magic, we'll start off with Paolo Banchero, who's coming in at 7,100. Paolo's not a guy that I've been playing much lately. He's kind of been underwhelming. He hasn't had a good game in a while. Like the last time Paolo put up over 40 Draftkings points was, beginning of February. Again, like Paolo's one of these guys that can produce when he gets minutes. He's going to play big minutes if the game's competitive. The matchup against the Pelicans, I don't love. The Pelicans have some good wing defenders like Herb Jones. But I still think Paolo Banchero is playable here at 7,100. Wendell Carter Jr. at 6,500, I think is fine as well. The Pelicans have been a pretty good matchup for centers lately. We've seen the Pelicans give up some big games to centers, so I think the spot for Wendell Carter Jr. is fine. Price tag I don't love at 6,500, but I still think he's okay. The rest of the Pelicans, like Franz Wagner, I've just not been playing lately. He has shown like little upside. I feel like his ceiling is just so minimal right now. I mean, we haven't seen Wagner put up like, the last time he put up over 40 Draftkings points was January the 20th. I mean, just has not shown much upside. This will probably be the game that he goes off just because I shit on him, but I'm not really interested in Franz Wagner. Not that interested in Markelle Fultz either. His price tag at 6,200 feels about right. He has been playing big minutes lately, but I think there's other guys, like I think I'd rather target those Celtics guys for cheaper, even though they probably will get more ownership. I just think they're going to probably project better than Fultz. Cole Anthony, coming off the bench, I'll pass on. The rest of the Magic, I'll pass on. The Magic are not that appealing of a team to begin with. They run a pretty deep rotation, but since we are working with such a short slate, 4 games, you're going to have to look to some of these guys. Definitely think my favorite plays on the Magic are probably Banchero and Wendell Carter Jr., and then I think Markelle Fultz is fine as well. I'm not super interested in really anyone else on Orlando, though, so that'll do it for that game, guys, and that'll do it for this little 4-game Monday slate. Again, it's a shorter slate for a Monday, but I'm sure we'll have much more. We'll have probably way more games on Tuesday, but I still did want to give you guys a quick breakdown of this 4-game slate. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. As always, I appreciate you watching. Hit that like button before you do get out of here. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And again, guys, go check out PrizePicks, sponsor of the video. You guys can sign up for PrizePicks and use my promo code NOAH when PrizePicks does, or when you do sign up for PrizePicks, they will match your first deposit up to $100 when you sign up with my promo code. So check them out, see some of the props they have for Monday. Obviously, there's no props up yet because I'm recording this video on Sunday, but check the board on Monday. You'll see plenty of props available, and if there's anything that stands out to you, if you think a projection is either too high or too low, you just take more or less. It's as simple as that. You have to make at least 2 picks, but you can make up to 6 picks, and you can win up to 25x your money on Prize Picks. So give them a try. Use that promo code Noah when you sign up, and get your deposit bonus when you do sign up. But that's all that I got for this 4-game Monday slate. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Appreciate you watching. We will see you guys in the next one.